Hi guys, Watch Fanatic here. Now, I'm going to do a video about something that kind of bothers me and is a bit of a question, I think, for a lot of people. And recently I just saw a really good video on YouTube, a lovely watch lady who's got a YouTube channel. She was asking, should we be buying Homage watches? You know, kind of like basically the pros and cons. And at the end of that, it seemed pretty unequivocal that she thinks we shouldn't be buying Homage watches, the ones that really replicate the look of the watch they are kind of copying. So I've got quite a few Homage watches as well as vintage watches. So I'm not, a guy who just buys Homage watches. I've got plenty of watches. So I feel kind of qualified to give you my thoughts on Homage watches and my process of how I've acquired some Homage watches, what I think of them, would I buy any more, that type of thing. So I'm going to kind of work this out as I go along. So what we have, sorry, my tripod, I need a new tripod. The legs have got to a stage where they're giving out. Right, here we go. Okay, so I've got my watch collection in its entirety. Let's take the whole thing up in the air. Just so I can kind of talk about some of the watches I got and what I think of the Homage watches. How often do I wear them? So at the moment, I'm actually wearing, this is pretty much the first watch, decent watch that I bought, this Seiko, which I've had for about 20 years. And that kind of got me on my journey of buying watches. As that got old, the battery went, the strap wasn't working very well. And I decided to buy another watch. And after quite a lot of bit of research, because I didn't know really much about watches at all at that stage, I like the look of Rolexes, obviously, I knew kind of Rolexes. And I thought, I saw the Submariner and I thought I'd like to buy a watch that looks like a Submariner. I can't afford a Submariner. Obviously, looked at the prices of Rolexes, a lot of money. I'm not in that league. So, and I'd had Seiko before. I thought, let's try a different watch company. And after quite a bit of research, in those early days, I came across Invicta. So this was my first kind of, discovery of a Homage brand. I had no idea that you could buy watches that were very close to the watch that they were kind of replicating or trying to look like. So Invicta, most watch guys will know, it's not a bad quality watch brand at all. They actually predate Rolex. They come from Switzerland originally, and I've actually got another Invicta there. I've just sold one. I had another Invicta, but that one there is like a 1960s or 50s, no, 1960s, I think, Invicta. And that's the original company when they made Swiss watches. And then an American company bought them, and now they do some Homage and they do some original watches as well, some real way out big watches, which I don't really like. But some of the Homage ones that they do to the Rolexes are quite decent, really. They have, this one has a quartz movement, but a lot of them have a kind of Seiko NH34 or 5 movement in them. So they're pretty reliable, and they give you the look of a Rolex. So this one is the one that I bought. So I think I paid roughly £70 for this, and it's a Speedway, but it's very, very, very similar to a Rolex Daytona. So this is the thing. I mean, this really is pretty close to the Daytona. I mean, it's a lovely watch. It's not got sapphire crystal, and I'm sure the stainless steel isn't as good quality, but I mean, we know a Daytona is mega money. I don't even know what the price of them are, depending on which model, brand new. They're a lot of money, aren't they? 15, 20 grand. I don't know. That's if you can get hold of them. So I'm not likely to buy a Daytona. I like this. It wasn't for me in the end because I need reading glasses, and to look at that dial and the hands don't jump out at me. So I found without reading glasses, I couldn't really see the time at a glance. So this is why this is in absolute mint condition, because I haven't worn it very often. So that led me to buy another Homage watch, and that one was another Invicta, and it was the famous Pro Diver. So this one I can read very well, and this one is an automatic with the NH, is it 35 or 34? I always get them muddled up, but it's got the automatic movement in it, and it's a 42mm. I can read it really well, and it's obviously a homage, or pretty close looking, to the Submariner, although it's not exact. Invicta, with the homages, they're very similar, but they're not a copy. You've got large Invicta engraving on the side, and if I had a Submariner next to this, you would be able to see the differences. The hands are similar, you know, there's lots of similarities. I've put a different bezel on this, so don't take any note of the bezel. It came with a aluminium bezel, and I've upgraded it to this ceramic one, which I've done a video of. So that one I've worn quite a bit, and I've really enjoyed wearing it. And for most of the time when I was wearing that, I wasn't even considering, oh, it's not a Rolex, you know, how do I feel about it? But then I bought this one. So this is the Pagani GMT PD 1660, something like that. I can't remember the exact number. Another automatic, another NH movement. This watch I wear pretty much every day, and this is a very close, I mean, they call it a homage, but you could put this next to the Rolex GMT and it's almost identical. It's not quite the same, it's deeper. You can see that inner chrome ring. That's much deeper, because I don't think they can make the movement slim enough to completely replicate the dimensions of the Rolex watch. So this one is a bit more of a dilemma. I mean, it is a homage, but a lot of people would say it's basically a copy. I mean, it's not a fake watch. It says Pagani design on it. They're not trying to rip you off, you know, say that it's a Rolex. It's got Pagani design on the crown, and it also has a, what the GMT doesn't have, the Rolex, sorry. It has a exhibition back, so you can actually see the movement itself. So nice watch, fantastic value. I mean, this was about £60, 60 something pounds. I've got a video on it. I've got a couple of videos on this. So now that led me to buy a few other homages. And I'm starting to feel a little bit guilty that I've just got homage watches. But then, in all realistic probability, I cannot afford, unless you're a multi-millionaire, to go out and buy a bunch of Rolexes. So there's another one here. So this is just a cheap, say cheap and half decently made, but it's a Chinese, like 12 quid Seiko Captain Willard homage, which is pretty similar. It's not an exact copy, but it's pretty similar. I mean, that really is what I would say an homage is. It's got a similar shape. It's got similar kind of hands and a few other things. But if you put that next to the Captain Willard, there is differences. Even the case shape is different, and this is just a quartz. But that is a homage. I'm not going to feel too guilty about that one. And I have got some proper decent watches in my vintage watch section. You can see that's a real Omega, a real Seiko there, another real Omega Paipan. If I go into the shade a bit better. Actually, that's not shade, is it? There we go. It's the light is too strong. Yeah, so you can see that's an Omega Constellation there. Omega DeVille. So I've got some proper watches. We've got Tissot, Montaigne. I have a Tudor, proper Tudor, Longines. But here's another homage. So that is a Nibosi Chinese thing, quartz, presidential homage. And that's very close looking to the Rolex. But I'm not going to spend... So, funny, so I've worn this now a few times. I don't wear it anymore. And it's probably because I don't particularly like it as much as I thought I was going to like it. So if you were thinking of getting a presidential, it's a good way to see if you like the look of the watch on your wrist first, just the style of it. I know it's not exact, but it gives you an idea. It's pretty much the same dimensions. And the reason is not because I don't like the presidential, it's the dial colour is a bit too way out for me. It looks nice when you look at it, but on my wrist, I should have gone for the dark blue. So I still like the overall look of it. So there is one case, I would say, for a very kind of strong copy type homage, is it will give you a trial run. Do you like that watch? And if you really like it, then perhaps you go for the real thing without having to blow the money to find out you don't like it once it's on your wrist. So it's kind of like a test drive or something that's very similar, just to see if you like the look of it. So, but I think homage watches they're not a new thing. They've been going for a very long time. So one of my recent purchases was this Rado, and this is a vintage watch. And it's very similar to this Tresser carronade. Now, I'm pretty sure they copied Rado with this distinctive shield shape, which, because this is made in tungsten steel, carbide, and they form the metal under very high pressure and heat. They can only do kind of so many shapes. So they came up with this shield shape, very distinctive for Rado. And I wouldn't be surprised they were copied. I've seen a couple of vintage watches around the era which have got this shield shape. I mean, these are really similar watches, aren't they? But this is a Swiss watch, this carronade Tresser. It's well thought of, got very nice movement, proper Swiss movement on there. But there's what you have really is an old-fashioned homage to another watch. Most watches copy other watches, even when you go back in time. Many watches, I mean, this one with a screw-down crown, that's the Oyster Tudor. There's loads of watches that look like that from that era, and I can bet your bottom dollar they were basically copying the look of the Tudors, seeing what they were doing, and the Rolexes at the time. And of course, occasionally watch companies come up with their own unique look that nobody else is doing, and they run with that, and then other watch companies will kind of copy them. So there's lots of different types of watches which kind of look similar. You've got the Tissot Sea Star from 1970s, real one, and then you've got this Legion. They got similar kind of shapes. You start to see watches that basically look very similar from a period where they were all copying each other, is the way it's going. Even, I mean, this is a very Anamane, but it's a large tank look. But there's loads of tank watches that are smaller. Many, the Cartier tank, and this has been copied time and time again. So they're kind of all homages to each other of this tank type looking watch. So it's a difficult one. I think when you get to this, which is such a close copy, it's maybe slightly questionable, and I feel slightly uneasy about it. I got it on my watch, on my wrist, and I think people may actually, think, especially from a distance, that that is a Rolex. But they would probably do that with that, to be honest, as well. With this one, yes, from a distance it looks like one, but as you get slightly closer up, you see the Invicta markings very large, and there are subtle differences. But at the same time, we're living in dangerous times now. So if I'm going away or going on holiday, imagine I had the Rolex Batgirl, which is probably worth £20,000 brand new, if you can get hold of one. That's a lot of money on your wrist. So I can get the enjoyment of wearing something that looks like a Rolex Batgirl, but I don't have to worry, A, about scratching it or bashing it because it's only 60 quid, and B, getting stabbed or robbed for it. You might turn around and say, well, hang on, you're going to get stabbed and robbed for a Pagani, but as they're about to stick the knife in me, I'm probably going to say, hey, bro, it's a Pagani, don't kill me. So maybe you've got a chance. They're not going to grab your watch if you can explain to them it's a waste of time, mate. So, I feel much more comfortable with that on. But even that, when I'm going away on holiday and you're going to a place, perhaps like Rome, where, you are a bit more wary of pickpockets and things like that, I've opted to take a watch. So this one is another Pagani, and that's extremely close to the Rolex Air King in look. It's a very good watch, Really nice quality. It's got another NH34 or 35 movement, I always forget. The Seiko movement, so very reliable. Haven't worn it for a little while. Sapphire glass. That really looks like the Rolex Air King. But it's got Pagani marking. You know, there are subtle differences. The dimensions aren't going to be absolutely spot on, but certainly at a good glance, you're probably going to think that's what it is. Although no one really not many people know about the Air King. So even your watch thieves, most of them won't have a clue what an Air King is. They know a Submariner, but they won't know what an Air King is. So I can wear that anywhere. Good, reliable watch. If I go on holiday, I want something to look half decent. I can wear it swimming, and I'll wear that, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about scratching it. You know, whatever. It's the money spent on it. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not going to take, you know, an expensive Omega that could get ripped off my wrist. So I think there is definitely a place for Homage watches for people who want to experience wearing that type of look of watch and feel of watch, for people who, you know, never going to be able to perhaps afford the real thing. But even if you can afford the real thing, you may not want to drop that amount of money on a watch, but you still want to wear something that looks similar to the watch you like. And it gives you a more secure feeling because you're less likely to worry about it being stolen, or if you're mugged, you've got that, you can shout at them at the last second as they're trying to drag it off your wrist. Don't bother, mate, it's a Pagani. But yeah, they might say, oh, I like Pagani. But hopefully at that stage they realise it's not worth risking their liberty. So yeah, there we go. I got many, many different watches. I will experiment and wear them on different occasions. What I'm trying to do with my collection at the moment is I've sold quite a few. So I'm selling some that perhaps I don't wear, don't like quite so much. I'm going to try to replace them with higher end brands as I can find them for the price I want. So if I can find a decent Longines or a Tudor or a Tissot or where are we? An Omega, obviously. And that takes a lot of finding and searching, but I'm trying to do that where possible. I've got plenty of Seikos and Citizens and the rest of them, but some of these I will kind of sell a couple, then try to replace them with something. Like I bought that Rado. That's a decent quality, decent brand, a bit more exclusive. So I'm trying to slowly do that. So I do have a love for the watches. I'm not trying to just show off with watches which look like Rolexes but aren't Rolexes. I'm trying to eventually also, even though I've been wearing watches for a few years now, I mean all these watches, not just the Seiko I had for a long time, I'm still working out what I like. So you have something for a while, you think you like it, then after a couple of weeks you put it back in a box and you try something different, and then you grow to like that. So it's not until I put it on my wrist, kind of live with it for a while, I kind of work out whether I really like it. Some watches will grow on me. So, I love to wear this one occasionally, and that's a real Omega moon swatch, Mission to Earth, or Mission on Earth. And I bought that one second hand, but absolutely mint, box, papers, everything, completely genuine. I've done videos on this, and I paid I think it was like £150 or something like that. So they're coming up now. They've been around for a few years. You can buy a new or almost new one that perhaps someone's just not worn and they've put back on eBay, and you can probably save quite a bit of money over a new one. So it's a nice watch actually. People really slag these off, but it's a lovely watch to wear in the summer. It's light, and it's better quality than I thought it would be. People are like, oh, it's just plastic. It is. It's a ceramic plastic. You can feel the plastic has got a ceramic element to it. They're very sharp lines, and it's not a bad watch. I think for if you can pick up one for 150 like I have, you're certainly, and it came with another strap as well, a rubber strap. Yeah, you're doing pretty well. I think it's worth that. So yeah, I'm going to carry on. I think homages have definitely got a place, and it gives you it gives you a chance to experiment, see what watches you like without having to smash many thousands, and you can just enjoy at least wearing that style of watch, which is similar to the watch that you lust after. Now, after wearing these, would I buy a Submariner or a GMT? And because I've worn both, it's actually given me a little bit more kind of scope and thought. And I've got a friend who has actually got the a black Submariner date, and I've worn that, and I really like it. And I still lust after the Rolex Pepsi. I know it's a bit of an obvious one, but I've always liked it. It's just one of those watches I've always liked. But you can't get hold of one new. You'd have to buy one used. So I think in the future, if I was ever in a position, lucky enough that I could invest in a watch, if one of those came up, I think I would, because I think it's like a daily watch you can really wear. And I would, after wearing this one, I would look out for a real Seiko Captain Willard Turtle. I nearly bought one a little while ago that was coming up, a used one, but it went for a little bit more money than I was willing to pay, because I really like the look of that. It's very retro, kind of old diver look. So yeah, I mean, because I bought the Homage, I'm thinking of buying the real one. Maybe not a new one. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll treat myself to the new one. I don't know. But here's one. Okay, so this is a Pagani. This is a Homage watch. We don't really know exactly what it's a homage to. So looking at it, I mean, if you put that on Google Lens or whatever, you might get Patek Philippe come up. It's got that kind of look, and it's also got a bit of a Longines look to it when you look at the crown guards. That's very Longines looking. But the crown is, this is Pagani's own design, but you can see they've taken cues from other watches. So it's a bit of a amalgamation of perhaps a few different styles of watches. But I think mostly it looks a bit like a Patek Philippe style. So this was a good buy. I didn't pay that much for it. It's a quartz. It was on offer, and I thought I'll get that. But I don't wear it. I've worn it a couple of times. It's just not for me. Don't particularly like the style. I thought I would, but I just, haven't. I think it's, it's quite a pretty watch, but it's just not for me. So there you go. I mean, I haven't spent a fortune. I kind of regret buying that, but you can imagine how much I would regret if I'd spent a fortune on a watch that I then decided wasn't my style. So, I mean, I could stick that back on eBay. I'll just keep hold of it, give it away, whatever. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. So you're going to have watch snobs, which not in a million years, they wouldn't buy an Invicta or they wouldn't buy a Pagani. But there's other people who will have Rolexes in their collection, but when they go out in London or whatever, they're going to whack a Pagani on or an Invicta because they're frightened of wearing their Rolex. I mean, my friend with his Rolex, he keeps it in his safe. He doesn't wear it because, one, he wants to keep it mint, and he wears other watches, probably, a little bit cautious of wearing a Rolex around. It depends where you are, where you're going, isn't it, I guess. But yeah, so there is the argument kind of for and against. And I think it's up to the individual. But honestly, I've enjoyed I wear this most of the time, this one here. Occasionally I think, people might say, oh, is that a Rolex? And you can say, oh, no, it's not. But then it hasn't got Rolex written on it, but it is certainly very, very close in its design and look. So I hope I don't know if this is going to help you decide whether to get, or whether you should buy a Homage watch or not buy an Homage watch. I just wanted to put my case that I am a watch collector. I've got proper vintage watches, but I do have the odd Homage watch, which I probably wear on a more daily basis, because I'm probably not going to wear the vintage watches so much on a daily basis because they're a little bit more perhaps delicate and that type of thing. I don't want to damage them. I'll wear them perhaps on the odd evening out. But for literally your daily grind watch, I'm going to be picking up one of these probably. this type of thing. And slapping that on, it's a good looking watch, don't have to worry about it. And I think there's an argument for that, because I'm not going to be wearing, if I have a Rolex, I wouldn't want to wear it every day, because it's probably, in my line of work, I'm probably going to get it scratched and damaged. So there's that as well. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of use out of a nice looking watch, and you haven't got the stress or the worry aspect of it, of damaging, of expensive watch. So yeah, but still I can own some nice watches. So I think, in conclusion, would I buy another one? I think I've got enough. I wouldn't say I wouldn't. If something came up that I really like the look of, yeah, I'm probably going to get it and not feel too guilty about it. But on the whole, I will try to keep buying vintage watches and get quality ones. That's kind of my goal now, is to expand my collection with better quality vintage watches, sell some of the cheaper ones perhaps, and try to, so you can notice I've got 1, 2, 3, I've got 5 boxes here. I kind of made the decision, I don't want to fill up any more boxes, so that's why I started selling a few now. And sometimes I buy these watches and I kind of clean them up and do them up. The last one I made £10 on. It's not a lot of money, is it? But I made a tenner, but it only cost me about a tenner. So, you know, it's a bit of fun. I wore it for a while and I made a few quid on it. So I don't always make money on the watches. And I made a couple of videos out of it. So, yeah. I'll keep all these ones for now, but there's a couple I'm kind of eyeing that I may sell fairly soon. I'll probably get rid of this Casio. I've never worn it. I'm allergic to it because it's not real gold. It will have nickel in this cheap gold plating on this Casio, but it's a very, very rare Casio. And this Tissot, I love it, but again, it's some kind of nickel plated gold. And I did wear it and it brought me out on a bit of a rash, but I don't want to sell that because it works perfectly. So I might hold off on that. I love looking at it. I want to have watches that I can wear. So, and not just keep in a box. So that's been cleaned up. It's working really well. So I'm probably going to sell that one, probably sell the Casio one. And I don't wear that one so much anymore. I wore that a lot. I might sell the Seiko Chronos. That's working well. So I might get rid of a couple of those gold looking watches. And then look out for some other watches which catch my eye. Okay, this video's gone on long enough. If you want to buy an Homage watch, go for it. Don't worry about what other people think. If you enjoy it, that's the main thing. Don't buy fake. Don't buy fakes. I don't agree with that. But an Homage watch, even if it's a Pagani, some watch channels definitely take the mick out of them. But honestly, that is a lot of watch for the money. 60 odd quid. Seiko movement, sapphire glass, stainless steel. It's a lot of watch for the money. Very, very difficult to argue with that. Same with Invictus. Yeah, lasts for many years. Good, reliable watch. Yeah, hard. You know, the other manufacturers should kind of take note that you can, you know, manufacture a really good quality watch with quality materials for not that much. As Harold Balder said when I interviewed him, watches are a scam. And I kind of thought a little bit about that, and maybe he's right with some watches and the prices that they're asking for them. But yeah, I'm not going to comment too much on that. But perhaps he's got a point. I'm sure there is some kind of thing going on with these watch manufacturers, especially the really, really, really expensive ones. And you think how much they are and what they are, you know. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. It helps push my channel to more people. Leave a comment. Would you buy an Homage watch? Have you got an Homage watch? What do you think? What do you think about the snobbery around it? Is it ethical to buy one at all? Anyway, guys, thanks. Take care.